Coming on to the clinical significance, or what are the diseases that can happen if you have deranged receptors or decreased activity of the enzyme, which can lead to number of diseases. So Fredrickson have classified this, there is Fredrickson classification of dyslipidemia, where it is classified into five types. We have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4 and type 5. Type 1 is the type where we have hyperchylomicronemia. It is also known as hyperchylomicronemia, where the disease is due to the inherited deficiency of lipoprotein lipase enzyme. So when you have lipoprotein lipase enzyme deficiency, or when you have inherited deficiency of ApoC2, what happens is they cannot break down the TG which is present inside the chylomicron, so chylomicron level gets raised. It can also happen in case of increase in your immunoglobulin like hypergammaglobulinemia, or in case of SLE, where your lipoprotein metabolism is disrupted. So distorted lipoprotein metabolism can lead to hyperchylomicronemia. The second one is also known as hypercholesterolemia. This hypercholesterolemia is mainly because of familial hypercholesterolemia, which can be because of gene mutation or LDL receptor mutation. And, nowadays we have PCSK9 gene mutation, which can lead to LDL receptor destruction. So there is no enough LDL receptor to take or lead to uptake of LDL, which can cause hypercholesterolemia. It can be primary or it can be secondary. Primary is because of genetic deficiency. Secondary is because of acquired causes like your diseases like your diabetes mellitus, you have nephrotic syndrome, you have hypothyroidism. These are the secondary causes which can cause hypercholesterolemia. In diabetes mellitus, you have dyslipidemia because of number of causes. Because of insulin deficiency, your lipoprotein lipase activity is not happening properly. That is, there is lipoprotein lipase activity is sluggish, so that TG which is present inside the chylomicron is not broken down. So we have hypertriglyceridemia, hyperchylomicronemia, and LDL cholesterol is also increased because LDL receptors are not present in your surface, or it is dysregulated in case of diabetes. In case of nephrotic syndrome, what happens is you have in nephrotic syndrome you have more amount of your protein loss, and for that your hepatic synthesis compensate for the protein loss. So there is more synthesis of ApoB100 along with other proteins. So ApoB100 is specific for your LDL. So more amount of ApoB100 causes more amount of your LDL cholesterol uptake, which can cause into hypercholesterolemia, specifically increase in LDL cholesterol level. The third one is known as dys-beta lipoproteinemia. Beta lipoprotein means mainly the VLDL and your chylomicron remnants, where it is mainly because of the genetic deficiency or homozygosity for ApoE2, which is not so common. Then we have type 4, which is known as hypertriglyceridemia. Hypertriglyceridemia, it can occur in case of patients of alcoholism, diabetes, obesity and poor dietary habits, because exogenous cholesterol is mainly the triglyceride which is absorbed from the intestine, which is packed in your chylomicrons. Hypertriglyceridemia can happen in case we have poor dietary habits or you have sedentary lifestyle. And type 5 is familial type 5 hyperlipoproteinemia, where your chylomicron and your VLDL is increased. That is also because of the causes like oral contraceptive, because of the hormone estrogen and progesterone, which causes the lipoprotein metabolism dysregulation and obesity and diabetes mellitus. In case of genetic dyslipidemias, we have familial hypercholesterolemia. Familial hypercholesterolemia can be because of LDL receptor deficiency, that is the patient do not have LDL receptor as well. Nowadays we have a new gene coming up where we have a gene known as pre-protein converting subtilisin caxin 9, PCSK9 gene mutation. If this gene is the protein is usually responsible for the degradation of the mature LDL receptor. If there is gain of function mutation in PCSK9 gene mutation, what happens is your LDL receptor is degraded in an aggravated way. So there is no LDL to take up so there is no LDL to take up LDL receptor for the uptake of LDL, which can lead to hypercholesterolemia. We have familial familial combined hyperlipidemia, which is generally because of overproduction of ApoB100, and familial dysbeta lipoproteinemia, which is because of homozygosity to ApoE2. So among this, the most common one is familial hypercholesterolemia, which is mainly because of LDL receptor deficiency, PCSK gene mutation, and there are few other gene mutation which is being implicated but not specified. We come across most common form of hyperlipidemia, that is the secondary causes, and that can be in the form of increase in VLDL only, increase in LDL only, or it can be combined form. So hypercholesterolemia, which is represented by increase in LDL, which is where the secondary causes is mainly because of your hypothyroidism, nephrotic syndrome, cholestasis, anorexia, drugs like anti-epileptics or immunoglobulins, like in case of hypergammaglobulinemia, in multiple myeloma or systemic lupus erythematosus, where lipoprotein metabolism is dysregulated, which can cause increase in LDL. So what happens is, in case of your nephrotic syndrome, due to overproduction of ApoB100, which happens to be because for the compensatory loss of albumin and other protein in nephrotic syndrome, there is overproduction of ApoB100. Since ApoB100 is specific for your LDL, so there is more and more LDL cholesterol metabolism or uptake is happening, which can cause increase in hypercholesterolemia or increase LDL level. Second, because of increase in HMG-CoA reductase activity in patients with nephrotic syndrome, that can also cause increase in cholesterol, mainly hypercholesterolemia, due to de novo cholesterol synthesis, and impaired in LPL activity, that is lipoprotein lipase activity is impaired in patients with nephrotic syndrome, which causes increase in chylomicrons, increase in VLDL level. So hypercholesterolemia in case of nephrotic syndrome, in hypothyroidism, also in case of your patients taking drugs like anti-epileptics or cyclosporine, it can lead to increase in LDL, which is known as hypercholesterolemia. Secondary hyperlipidemia can be in the form of hypertriglyceridemia, where you have increase in VLDL level, which can be because of diabetes mellitus, hypothyroidism, chronic kidney disease, alcohol, estrogens, etc. And mixed hyperlipidemia, it can be increase in VLDL as well as increase in low density lipoprotein. It can be seen in case of nephrotic syndrome and hypothyroidism. I have already told, in case of nephrotic syndrome, because of increase in ApoB100, in decrease impaired activity of LPL, you have both increase in VLDL as well as increase in LDL. Secondly, hypothyroidism, increase in LDL level is there because of dysregulation of LDL receptor, because there is decrease in LDL expression in the surface, and also because LPL activity is deranged in case of hypothyroidism. That's why there is increase in VLDL level. So there is mixed hyperlipidemia in case of nephrotic syndrome and hypothyroidism. Now coming on to how this atherosclerotic plaque is propagated, or how does this process happens. I've already talked about how your oxidized LDL is taken up by your scavenger receptor in macrophages in an unregulated or not regulated way. Because of this, there is deposition of more and more cholesterol crystals. Here you can see here inside your beneath your blood vessels in the carotid intima, you have foam cells, that is those are the macrophages loaded with your oxidized LDL. You have cholesterol crystals, and this lipid pool, it gets deposited inside your carotid intima or in your endothelial cells, which causes the attraction. It causes the more and more chemoattractants, your cytokines, TNF alpha. These all inflammatory mediators causes the leads to the atherosclerosis, and ultimately leading to atherosclerotic plaque, which is attributed to number of cardiovascular as well as cerebrovascular events. Now, how will you diagnose dyslipidemias? So, laboratory diagnosis of dyslipidemia, mainly in the first step, we have to look for just total cholesterol. Total cholesterol level fasting or non-fasting, we are mainly concerned with the fasting level lipid profile is for triglyceride level, because we all know the dietary triglyceride level is directly going to impact your VLDL and your TG level, because those are the exogenously taken cholesterol. So it can be fasting or non-fasting, as well as you have to look for apolipoprotein B and apolipoprotein A. Apolipoprotein B by apolipoprotein A ratio is very important to look for whether the patient has increased risk for atherosclerosis or not. Why? Apolipoprotein B is the apolipoprotein for VLDL and mainly for LDL and also for VLDL, while apolipoprotein A is for HDL. So what is the ratio of bad by good cholesterol? That is also signified by apolipoprotein. In second step, fasting lipid profile, we have to look for total cholesterol, TG, LDL and HDL, and we have to look for total cholesterol by HDL to HDL cholesterol ratio. How much is the HDL level? Whether it is in the lower range and your total cholesterol level is going to be higher, there is the risk of atherosclerosis and cardiovascular events in those patients, and it can be taken out by your Fred-Wald formula, where your total cholesterol is mainly taken up by LDL equals to total cholesterol minus HDL minus TG by 5. TG by, that is triglyceride by 5. 1/5 of triglyceride is considered to be more or less amount of very low density lipoprotein. In this way, we can calculate your total cholesterol, that is low density lipoprotein level, but this is not the recommended method for measurement of LDL cholesterol, because direct LDL cholesterol gives you the exact measurement of how much cholesterol is this, because this formula is not applicable if you have triglyceride level more than 400 milligram per deciliter, which is more common in patients with dyslipidemia. I've already talked about familial hypercholesterolemia. So familial hypercholesterolemia is mainly diagnosed if the patient is at risk, that is possible familial hypercholesterolemia or definite hypercholesterolemia. So possible hypercholesterolemia is whenever your serum cholesterol level is more than 7.5 millimole per liter, it is usually more than 290 milligram per deciliter. Millimole of cholesterol is converted into milligram by multiplying it by 38.67. So if it is more than 7.5 millimole per liter in children of less than 16 years, or LDL cholesterol is more than 4.9 per liter, plus if there is family history of myocardial infarction in age before 60 years, we have to suspect of familial hypercholesterolemia. Or if there is serum cholesterol level more than 7.5 millimole per liter in a first or second degree relative, we can suspect of familial hypercholesterolemia in those patients. Now a definite diagnosis is done by Simon and Broom criteria, and that is by serum cholesterol level more than 7.5 millimole per liter or LDL cholesterol level more than 4.9 millimole per liter, when there is tendon xanthomas in the patient of first or second degree relative, or there is DNA testing where there is evidence of mutation in LDL receptor, ApoB gene receptor or PCSK9 gene mutation, that gives you the definite diagnosis of familial hypercholesterolemia. Thank you for listening.